people always ask me far and wide, Halston, what is a quintessential sound of the 90s? And every time I get asked, I can only answer in one way. That, my dears, is the quintessential sound of the 90s. And this is New Job Who Dis. Welcome back, one and all. Thank you so much for tuning in to another scintillating and exciting episode of New Job Who Dis. A storyline, a tale of success, failure, hard work, and a journey of 40 plus jobs from yours truly, working stiff, learning how to become who I am today. And again, this doesn't happen overnight. I don't wake up in a dream and go, I'm Halston Body. Layers upon layers of places I've been, jobs I've had, lessons I've had to learn only for me to share with you. The audience, the listener, thank you for watching here on YouTube. Thank you for listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course the Podbean Network. Thank you for tuning in to episode number 8. Oh my goodness, we're at least 1/5 of the way through this diatribe of job and career chases. Oh man, it is a journey, and I'm here to share it with you. The reason why I'm sharing it with you is because I want you to understand and maybe remove some of the fear that you may have about having a job, getting a job, quitting a job, all of the above. Who knows what lessons or nuggets you might pull out of these episodes. If you have not watched all of them or listened to them, please binge, please go back, because there's things that I talk about in episode 3 that make sense in episode 8. There's things I talk about in other episodes that all relate together. You need to get the full picture. You'll get these episodes, and they're great for what they are. They hold their own. But realistically, if you follow the byline, all of this makes sense. All of it. Every bit of it. So that being said, let's move forward into part 2 of the Musicland tales. Oh yes, the Musicland group, Musicland in the mall, Mayfair Mall of Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. Yours truly was working in a music store all the way up until I was 21 years old. Oh, I was living that cool life. Oh, I get it. Don't get it twisted. I was working in a mall. I was working for corporate retail music. I mean, dress pants and khakis and ill-fitting dress shirts and polos and aprons and the corporate way being handed down from the Musicland group in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Oh, child, it was a ball. We were living the good life. This was prime time CD purchases. CDs were new in the late 80s. They were brand new, shiny new objects, much like the Laserdisc of earlier in the early 80s. Oh, when CDs came around, they were not cheap. They were imported. They were not accessible. But boy, when those 90s hit, CD party. So many CDs got released. So many CDs got re-released. So many box sets came out. So many things got rediscovered in the new format of CDs. And not only that, just working at the Musicland group, we were also the proponent and the sellers of Disneyland, Disney clamshell movies. Oh yeah, get The Little Mermaid before it goes into the vault. Does that sound familiar to anybody from the 90s? Where are my 90s babies at? You know you've heard that before. Oh, you know you have. Don't lie. Because that's what we did. We suggestive sold. 90-minute Maxell tapes blank tapes went flying off the shelves. Blank VHS tapes, not so much. People couldn't barely, the joke was you couldn't even, program your VCR or set the time. So why would you get blank VHS tapes? But people did it. People did it, but not as much as blank tapes. It was mixtape heaven in the 90s. CDs made it easy. Program that CD. I had that 20-track programmable Panasonic with a remote CD player. A couple chords later, I can record those tracks if I want onto a blank tape. Why not? Right? Take it with you. Take it in the car, take it in your Walkman, all the things. All of them. Ooh, it was a good time. Musicland was a good time. The golden era of CDs. Realistically, the 90s was it. Because if you all remember the story, by 2000, we were itching into LimeWire and Napster territory. Oh yeah, 2000, 2001, 2002, somewhere in that neighborhood. Oh yeah, it was coming. CDs were still around, don't be fooled. But they were not what they used to be. So like 2000, I want to say 2002 was closer to when we started. You smell that? It's called piracy. It's happening. However, before that, CDs were the thing. Vinyl went away. Didn't go away completely. Just to let you know, vinyl did not just disappear. Yes, it did not exist in mainstream music stores. It did not just show up. It wasn't just in the back. They got rid of vinyl as a prevalent form of music listening. It all became CDs. Cardboard long boxes, then just the CDs and the plastic security things, and making all the room for every CD possible. It was a golden era. I hate to wax nostalgic so hard, but all these people, anybody who sits around and goes, "Oh, I was a 90s baby. I was a 90s baby." Yeah, I was a 90s adult, and I wasn't even like a full adult. So I was in my prime of like turning into an adult and discovering music up the wazoo. Oh, I believe we reviewed also the people I worked with. Great staff, great friends, great people, wonderful people. Still friends with Betty. Betty B from Musicland. We are still friends after 30 years. That's how much of an amazing bond we had working together at Musicland, because we all went through it. We all went through the highs, and that's what this episode is going to be about, is the lows. Oh, yeah, Musicland was golden, but it went south, and I watched it happen in front of my very eyes. There are three major components as to why my retail music dreams of working for the Musicland Group and Musicland in the Mall went south. And quickly. It didn't, it wasn't like, oh, yes. Record retail, died a slow death. It wasn't like overnight. But the closer we got to like that 2001, 2002 Napster era, dropping like flies. Oh my God. So last we checked, our store is booming. We're making crazy sales. Things are popping. Everyone is happy. The district managers, the regional managers. I mean, seriously, we are getting recommended. People are like, oh, the Musicland Mayfair Mall is just hot, making all sorts of sales, suggestive sales. And our numbers just keep going up. And it's great. Living the good life. I didn't reap any magical rewards other than obviously collecting a lot of CDs, buying a lot of CDs, making a lot of money, plenty of hours to go around. So I was working full time doing that, feeling great. Things are great. Everybody's getting along. The downstairs Sam Goody store, everybody's getting along. Everybody's getting along with us. We're making money. Music businesses popping. Tower Records, Virgin Records, all of the records. Right? Was it HMV? All the places that sold the CDs. Living the good life. Resurgence in music. And then, of course, SoundScan. Go back to your history books, kids. Music history books. SoundScan opened the waves. Opened the airwaves. Alternative, R&B, hip-hop, rap, country, all new age. You wonder why all those weird things happened in the 90s, like the Gregorian chants or Enigma or all the Pure Moods or Michael Bolton, or all these things, all these different things just started happening. SoundScan, people were buying it. Yanni, live at the Acropolis on VHS and CD. millions, that sold millions because they could record it. They could actually tell because they were scanning barcodes and keeping actual tracks. So when Enya was blowing up in the 90s, it wasn't just a coincidence. She was selling CDs, right? Shania Twain, Garth Brooks, all those people, everybody that was a one-hit wonder or not that came out of the 90s. Grunge music, of course. Grunge blowing up. Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, all of them, every single one of them blew up. Huge. Whew. But that's when it fell apart. As I'm working at the luxurious Musicland that is poppin', well, what is corporation? I mean, people should know this answer. I shouldn't ask this rhetorically, but I didn't know this then. But looking back, I'm like, oh, of course that's why they did that. We have this great staff. Everybody's seeing each other eye to eye. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Singing songs, making music and money. Well, what corporations do when they see a pool of amazing employees who are knocking it out of the park, they decide to spread the wealth. They decide, well, if this person's so good and that person's so good, we can't have all the good people in one store. Oh, no, we can't. Oh, no. They put us all on pretty fast tracks to become management, to manage in other stores where others couldn't. Oh, yeah, that's right. Other stores were failing. Other stores were not doing the volume and the customer rapport that Mayfair Mall's Musicland was doing. It was being noticed by the corporation. And so they came in and they split us up. They're like, you need to go over there. You need to go over there. They put us through this like Musicland group corporate training. I remember having to take a bus all the way down to the south side to another mall because they went to I think it was the Southridge Mall Musicland. And that's where we had training like a whole week or maybe 2 weeks. Got to get up early. Got to get on that bus. Boy, was I having a hard time paying attention to those boring corporate management music. This is how we do corporation music, mall management. Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. And it's not because I wasn't interested. Oh, I was star employee. Are you kidding me? I was one of them. Oh, man. I wanted that money. I wanted that power. Oh, to be a manager? Are you kidding me? So enticing. And they did it. They saw the Sam Goody store downstairs. They saw employees down there that were doing awesome. They had employees upstairs that were doing awesome. They put us all in different stores. I think they kept Betty. Betty stayed at the Musicland Mayfair, and I believe Dee stayed there. I'm pretty sure Nikki, the original manager, went somewhere else. I can't remember what store she went to. Willie went somewhere. Everybody kind of just split up or left. Now, before that happened, though, here's the fun part. It's sad to even talk about this. I mean, that's why I took a deep breath, because I remember clearly when the memo came down and when the price structures came down. My brain popped. My brain hurt because I was a music fan. I was a big fan of music, bought a lot of CDs, collected a lot of CDs, got a lot of free ones, exploring music in my young adult era, going to college, of course. Oh man, being a college kid in a fraternity with access to all the latest music, I made friends. I mean, it's not because they're like, Bob, I want stuff from you, but I always, I DJ'd at frat parties. I always had cool tunes that people wanted to come up to my room and borrow a CD. I just had a ton of music. My brother, people were like, wow, you got a lot of CDs. People wanted to use my discount, especially around Christmas. My parents were like, when are those discount days? We took advantage and we loved the music culture. But then we got this memo. And you can find out about this stuff, by the way, before I go into how it all fell apart retail-wise for the music industry. You can watch a documentary called All Things Must Pass. It's the documentary about the Tower Records story. And when I watched that documentary, I want to say a couple years ago, I teared up because I lived that. Everything they talk about in that documentary is 100% true. Every part of how the music industry exploded through CDs and killed itself with CDs, and all the things that they name checked about why it went south, all true, and I was there to live it. The first one was music pricing changes. Before I even got out of Mayfair and the Musicland store, I got a little wary of where I was working. I mean, CDs were already like a full price, non-sale, new release, or just catalog that was a brand new catalog, $16.99. Yeah, $16.99. And before we even decided to increase prices, which you're thinking, what? You went from $16.99 and thought we should go higher? Oh yeah, we sure did. And not only did we decide to raise prices, we did it during and before it. Like, before we decided to raise prices, Best Buy showed up. And, you know, you think, well, Best Buy seems like an institution, like it's been around forever. No. The 90s was when Best Buy really started to take shape, realistically. I mean, I want to say a little bit of the late 80s, but that early 90s is when things were popping. And the big reason why is because across the street from the mall, the Best Buy that was just, a little ways down, it was maybe a good long block away from the mall, started offering brand new releases for $9.99, $10.99, $11.99 at the most. But no, seriously, no joke, $10.99 for a brand new release. And that was, I mean, yes, it was the sale price, but it didn't go up that much higher. It didn't go to $16.99. It stayed there. And people started showing up at the mall. Well, they have it across the street at Best Buy for $10.99. Why do you have it for $15.99? We didn't have an answer. We were like, what? No joke, when Best Buy started selling CDs for like $10.99 and $9.99, we almost didn't believe it. We thought people were joking. We're like, what? No way. They're not selling it for that cheap. Come on. And then they brought us the flyer. Oh my gosh. It was true. We didn't know what to say. We were stumped. We had to ask our district manager and our corporate managers to like, hey, we need to, what? Hey. The initial sort of corporate speak that we had to formulate to bamboozle the music consumer is that our prices are higher because we're in a mall and we have a rent to pay. And our rent is higher because it's convenience. It's where it's at. And this is why we charge what we charge. Some people bought it. Some people side-eyed it. Then they went across the street to Best Buy to get a $9.99 CD. I mean, it was challenging. It was very challenging. And mind you, we're still on VHS too, by the way. We're not anywhere near DVD and Blu-ray. We're still rocking the VHS. And cassettes. Now, the weird thing was, I remember Best Buy didn't really dive into cassettes. They didn't have a huge cassette wall and a security measure. I mean, I'm sure they did at some point, but by the time Best Buy blew up in the early 90s and became the go-to place for music, CDs, electronics, and more, they were killing us. They started to kill us. And we couldn't figure it out. We of course couldn't keep pace. I don't believe there was even a price matching offer. We were stingy. Stingy. Oh no, we can't. I mean, if you want it for that price, you can just go to Best Buy. That's how brazen we were. Now here's where it got worse. This is the next layer to that. We started raising prices. What? When I first saw a batch of CDs come into a shipment to put out for stock, and I saw it was direct from corporate price tag on the CDs with the barcode that said $17.49. Not only did I almost choke, but I questioned working for Musicland for the first time. Here's this amazing place where I'm loving where I'm at. I don't want to leave. It's so much fun. I'm making money. And P.S. college is kind of getting boring. College isn't fitting right for me. I don't feel like I belong in college. It just feels like a repeat of high school. So I'm working. I'm becoming a working stiff. And I'm making them Musicland money, and it's great. It's so great. I love it. But the prices, I couldn't defend them. That was the big thing. I think that's where it came from, is I stared at that price and I was like, how do I sell this? Because I wouldn't, what it came down to is I wouldn't buy this myself. Pro tip for anybody who's getting into a sales job or any sort of retail job or any job where you're expected to sell something, it's really challenging if you wouldn't buy it yourself. If I shouldn't say it that way. No, it is. If you're not a crazy liar and a BS artist, it's hard to sell things you don't really want to buy yourself. If you're just, raw and just, buy this. It's amazing. I don't care if it's overpriced. Good on you. But my conscience said differently. I just couldn't do it. Because if I was a consumer trying to buy brand new music, I'd be going to Best Buy. Real talk. Sorry, Musicland. I was going to cheat on you. And maybe I did. But that's later on. Whew, it's rough. So here I am, struggling in college, by the way. The college romance died. This ties in together. These are like two trains that are about to go to the same tunnel and meet at the same time. Because while at the same time, Musicland the luster is starting to wear off because of these price changes and because of Best Buy moving in on our territory. And it just seems like there's something funky happening here. These prices aren't going down, yet how is a competitor able to sell it without losing money? I don't know. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. I'm breaking up with college as well. I talked about my brother being a screw up and not graduating high school and not having a vision and just becoming a working guy. Well, I don't blame him. It would be easy for me to dismiss my brother, my older brother, and, lock it up and throw away the key in the ways of what kind of idiot would not finish high school? What kind of idiot would act that way and, not make his parents happy with his career choices? Why would somebody goof off and, skip out of school and not be on drugs or not be drinking? Like, what was the allure? Well, I can't blame my older brother now. I figured it out. Mine just came later, and it came in the form of college. College was fine for what it was. Do not get me wrong. I got through it was about 4 years of college. I'd say half of it was part-time. The first 2 years, bang, out of the box. I was like, full-time, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to make it happen. But by about 2 years in, I just lost my flavor for education in that way, because the problem was I didn't know what I wanted to be educated in. College was making me spend a whole lot of money and take out a lot of loan money just to learn about things that I just had to get through. Certain studies at the college, like, oh, you got to take these things. You got to take this amount of stuff. You got to take all the electives. Fair, right? But even while doing that, I didn't know what I wanted. So if I took all those and I got through art classes and all the history classes and all the things I had to take, psychology, and I had some of the best classes, and I still remember some of the most important lessons of my many lives from college. But it lost its flavor because I didn't have a direction. I didn't have a goal. So that's maybe why my brother didn't finish high school. He didn't feel like there was a goal. There was no carrot at the end of the stick he was chasing after, that, like, there was a tangible reward for doing it that he could see or visualize. So I don't blame my brother, and I don't chastise him or put him down for not having a high school diploma. He just burned out faster than I did. He got maybe higher expectations because he was the firstborn from my parents. And it destroyed him in some way. I have no idea. But we're not here to talk about my brother. We're here to talk about me. But I understand it. I understand the why am I doing this? And it was coupled with a lot of people I was starting to discover and learn about who were older than me. You know, a little older than me in the ways of like 3 years older than me, and they got through college or they're getting through college. And they had a college degree and they weren't using it. Or people even older than me that I was learning about, and they were like, yeah, I have a degree in this, but I work in insurance. So there was a bit of disillusionment about college that was piling up. Not to mention, I was nearing the age of 21. The closer I got to 21, the more and more I was coming out, the more and more I was sowing my oats of life and learning about living on my own and paying bills and saving money and doing all these things, but I didn't have a direction. I wasn't doing pro wrestling. I was just working. And Musicland was the light. Musicland was the light of my day and my night, was selling music and listening to music and being part of music. So I was just kind of in this, I'm working and I'm kind of going to college, but I'm not really going to college because I'm starting to fail out because I'm starting to really like get bored in this university system. I don't know why I'm here. Why am I here? Anybody? No? Nobody can help me? I guess I'll just keep picking up my hours at work and just work. It sounds great, but I'm going to keep hope alive that something's going to happen. And it did. Before we get to what happened, we have to dial back to the transferring. Yours truly stopped working for Musicland. But did I stop working for the Musicland group? Oh no. Oh no. They didn't transfer me and give me my own music store. Why? Why would they do that? I mean, music is my passion. Music, pop music, rock music, all the music that I've been listening to for the last 3 years and change. And why would you give me a music store of my own? They didn't, and it was a bad idea. But it was great for me because I still stayed employed. I became a manager, and I got to learn a whole new skill set. They put me as a manager of a Suncoast Motion Picture Company. What? Why? I didn't care about music. I wasn't a movie guy. I mean, I knew of movies, but I was not studied. P.S. Netflix and Blockbuster was a thing, but I wasn't a renter. Movies was not my jam. I liked movies, don't get me wrong. I have plenty of favorites. Plenty of great movies in my coffer. Oh, I can talk about movies. My favorite movies, that's another 100 episode podcast is my favorite movies. Let's break them down. It's already out there. We don't need that. But they put me as a manager of a Suncoast, which was part of a combo store. Does anybody remember those? Oh yeah, remember the Musicland Suncoast combo store? Why pay 2 rents when you can pay 1? We'll just get a bigger space. It's 1 spot, and we'll pay 1 rent, and we'll put Suncoast on one half, and we'll put Musicland on the other. And it'll be like a 2/3, 1/3 kind of thing. I did it. They put me in the downtown Grand Avenue Mall location. Now, did that make my Musicland career go south? No, it actually made it better because I was a manager finally. I was trusted to open and close and make sure my register was on point and make sure my store looked immaculate and all the T's were crossed and all the I's were dotted. All of the things that the corporate retail checklist that you're supposed to do, there was the carrot at the end of the stick. I had to make sure those things looked good and were proper and were all in order because it was my store. Was the entire store my store? Oh, no. This is where the problem came in. Problem number 2. Dissension in the ranks, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you about cliques and friends working with friends who don't like people who are not their friends working with them. The manager of the Grand Avenue store was named Terry. Terry was a young blonde gay. was pretty nice to me, but a little catty at times, a little bit, I don't want to say mean girl, but he wasn't the mean girl. He got looped into the mean girl posse. And the mean girl posse was just him and the assistant manager named Tiffany. Tiffany was this chunky, I want to say she was Indian, or had Indian roots. She was a lovely girl. She worked at Sam Goody. She was a little bit older than me. I think maybe a couple years older than me. But I don't even know why she didn't like me. Didn't choose it. Didn't do anything to piss her off. I didn't engage in some sort of argument that caused her to hate me all of a sudden. Again, we worked at Mayfair Mall in opposite stores. We all got along. We called each other every other day to ask if we had something. We went down and visited. There was no animosity. But when the breakup and the split up took place, for some reason, and I couldn't tell you why, because trust me, it bothered me to the point where I had to speak to the district manager about it. And when it's that important, you'd think I would remember, but it was literally, I think the reason why I spoke to the district manager is because I didn't understand why. I was 20 years old, earned my spot, did a great job, and I've got these mean girls throwing me shade. We're all supposed to be working in the same store, making it look cute, working together. But they made it very clear there was a line drawn between that Suncoast and that music store. And they didn't want my piece of it. And it was almost like pulling teeth to have them help me. So I just kept to myself. 20 years old, feeling like top of the world because I'm working as a manager downtown Milwaukee, the Grand Avenue, super fancy, I'm working it. And they didn't like me. So it just soured my attitude. I was like, ugh, I didn't want to work I wanted to work in music. I'm stuck here working in movies. I mean, that's fine. I get to watch all sorts of movies that I get to choose and pull out on VHS and make sure they're PG and put them in the windows and make people go, what movie is that? I want to buy it. I sold more copies of Clue on VHS than anybody in the world because every day I'd put that movie on. People are like, oh, I need to get this movie. I love this movie. I want it on VHS. My Neighbor Totoro. Sold tons of that movie because I put it on. People are like, what is this? It's so adorable. Became one of my favorites. Yeah, there were so many good times. But they had this chip on their shoulder. They had this attitude, this nose up, this side eye about me. Maybe it was because I wasn't cool. Maybe it's because I wasn't 21 yet and didn't drink and wasn't part of the party group. I don't know. But it irked me. But the best part is I got the sweetest revenge. And it wasn't even intentional revenge. I didn't want to do anything to mess up their game. I didn't have, cold-hearted intention to destroy their lives working their jobs because I was happy with what I was doing. It was a lot of the way. I had to work downtown instead of Mayfair. It was a little bit further. It was in a territory I wasn't familiar with. We were talking about movies, so I had to study quick and learn because I wasn't a movie. I didn't know movies. I had to guess and ask and look up things in the phonologue in that giant book. Oh, why didn't we have Google back then? Siri, what movie is this? Like what? Oh, how am I doing? The sales would have been insane if I would have been able to do that. I lost so many sales in music and movies because we didn't have the internet like we do. But I'm working stiff, scraping through college, not really happening, not feeling it. Yeah, it was just kind of a dip. But the power of the internet in 1993 going into 94 was an amazing thing. 30 years ago almost, kids. I just want to put it out there. And I say kids lovingly. I don't mean to say that to be demeaning. I say kids with love, like my flowered children. Step right up and let me tell you a story about the old internet. When I was in college, part of the reason why I started to flunk out, not only because I was, again, blossoming as a young adult gay man and, discovering life outside of school, it's kind of interesting and fun. Wow. I get to go to, do things that are adult things now because I'm, trying to move out of the house and I'm trying to, save some pennies, and I'm working and making money. Great. But college sucked. And so while I was in college and I started to fail out, even though I was still in college, we could have computer lab access. And the computers back then were the clamshell, or not even the clamshell, like the beige sort of one-piece computer with the keyboard like part of the computer. It wasn't like a separate keyboard or a Bluetooth or there was, I don't even remember if there were mice yet. No, I'm pretty sure there were mice, but we didn't really, I don't remember. All I remember is a lot of green screens and text. No pictures, no JPEGs, no GIFs, nothing. It was straight up texty boots. And I got on this program called IRC, Internet Relay Chat. And before then, also, but not only was there IRC, but there was also news groups. And this was all learned through early 90s college. Look it up. It's in the history books of internet folklore as part of news groups. And that's, you sort of got digests, and either daily or weekly digests of news or any sort of, like, I want to say, conversation, posts about things that people around the country and the world posted. This is fascinating stuff. I mean, up to then it was, Commodore, the Commodore system and Amigas, and personal computing was really expensive at home. But if you went to college, you could use a computer. Yeah, it wasn't the best computer. It wasn't like, wow, I'm tapped into the matrix. This is just text, lots of text and messages and BBS type systems. Anybody who knows what BBSs are, God bless. Those were the days. But IRC, chatting, rooms with hashtags. Before hashtags were called hashtags, it was just, £, alt this, alt gay this, alt bear that, right? Bear cave, all these things. And I started to chat with people online. It was a fascinating world. It was more fascinating than sitting in a classroom and learning about stuff that I didn't really care about. And I didn't need I was planning to have some sort of career in psychology. I wasn't planning to have a career in, African American studies. Amazing courses. Got a lot of lessons out of those courses, but not that. What was I doing in college? So I spent a whole lot of time skipping out class and getting on the internet. IRC, let me get on the internet and talk to people. And then I got a computer at home, chatted nonstop online, met people, met my first boyfriend on the internet in 1990. Let me do the math in my head. 1992? Yeah. Met my first boyfriend on the internet. Dated for like 2.5 years. We'll get to that in a second, but yeah. So it was a wild, wild west. It was like, wow, I'm learning all these things. I got onto a Village People news group and learned that they were still doing music past the 70s. I mean, the internet didn't exist. We didn't know. We were alert. What? There are people who are bigger fans of things than I am, and they're spitting out all sorts of knowledge on the internet about them and facts. I remember vividly one of the biggest things. I'm a huge Queen fan. Get to know me. Queen is my favorite band. End of story. Hall of Fame, #1. Nothing will top it. Nothing. Sorry, Queen. Sorry, every other band, I should say. Queen wins, hands down, everything. And there was like Queen news groups, and I remember daily almost. People were asking, because the internet didn't exist. Google did not exist. Looking up things quickly to just figure it out on the internet did not exist. You had to use your brain, or you find out somebody who knew for sure and hope you trusted them. They weren't just pulling your leg. They were like, no, this is a thing. Here it is. People asked in the Queen news groups constantly, is there a Highlander soundtrack? The answer is no. There was never a Highlander soundtrack. It was actually just songs from the album called The Kind of Magic. But every day, people are like, where can I get the Highlander soundtrack? I really want that. Ugh. But that was the internet back in the day. And I socialized and chatted and chatted and chatted and chatted and chatted until I failed out of college. Didn't matter, I had a full-time job. So college going away did not harm me in a way where I was like, oh no, the thing I wasn't really interested in anyway is not really doing me any solids. All right. I mean, I think by the last year or last semesters, I was down to like one class a semester. Just to stay in college, just so I could have computer access, just so I could be on campus, just so I could see my friends. Yeah, that's what college did to me. Burned me out. So the notion of working full time and just being on the internet was cool. Had a boyfriend. Things were okay. It was my first boyfriend, as I like to say. Learning experiences. Everything was learning. I'm working Suncoast, and I'm chatting with this guy from Detroit. His name, I believe, was Kevin. He went by two names, which, looking back, I should have seen that as a sign not to trust him, but I trusted him then. I can't even remember what his real name was, but he presented himself as Kevin. And, he was chatting me up, and we were talking, got along, flirting. He had a boyfriend. We were open. It's fine. But somehow I believe the conversation of career or job or what do you do and da-da-da-da-da-da. And he was telling me, oh, yeah, I work in, I work with computers, or I'm working in computers, and I work for like a gay and lesbian center, and my husband works there. I mean, he wasn't an official husband, but it was pretty much, live-in domestic partnership husband. They'd been together for like 7 years. He was telling me about that. I was like, wow, that sounds great. Wow, fun. And we became such friends on the internet that we decided to meet each other. What? I want to say reality TV did not exist back then either. So these stories of like people like taking their belongings and just traipsing around the country just to meet somebody. I mean, this was a risk. I can't remember how we sent pictures. Maybe we sent them by mail. They would have came in like 4 days. Detroit to Milwaukee. I don't know. I can't remember. But either way, we decided to take a risk and meet each other. Now, during the time I was dating my boyfriend, again, working, Suncoast, things are going great. Starting to get an interest with this other guy. Now, mind you, this other guy had a husband already. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to fall in love with this guy. But we became real good friends. And when we met, got along famously like two under 25-year-old young gay men would. We were really like, this is cool. I'm a dork. I'm into this. I'm a geek. We dorked out with each other. And then I went over there, went to Detroit, met him, met his husband, hung out with them. It seemed like a cool thing. Then he tells me, because somehow the conversation got leaked, that I wanted to be a DJ. It was I could probably surmise the conversation in a small basket and say, this is how the conversation went. Hey, what are you doing in college? I don't know. I'm just kind of failing out, and I don't really know what I want to do with my life. I really wanted to be a DJ, but I really can't find college courses that tell me how to be a DJ. And he goes, well, there is like a school over here in Detroit. It's a broadcasting school. Yeah, it's like a radio and TV broadcast school. It's like a trade school. My mind popped. What? I'm sorry, what? A trade school? Wait, that exists? How come no one ever told me? Again, no internet. You just had to figure it out. You had to guess, ask, find the person who knew. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody in the business. I didn't know how to ask. I didn't know who to ask. But all of a sudden, this angel, this gift, falls from the heavens via the internet, the old internet, all text internet, and not fast either. It's not, let me instant message you. Boop, boop, boop. I mean, it took a minute or two. You were waiting. And you couldn't see three bubbles. You couldn't see the little thing like, oh, this person so-and-so is typing. You just had to hope that they were still alive on the other end of that internet. And he shared this magical knowledge. Oh yeah, there's this broadcasting school over here. It's called Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts. What? What? You're pulling my leg. You got to be kidding me. No, it's a thing. You should, if you're kind of stuck in college and you don't really know what you're doing, and, you could always move out here and, we have a spare bedroom, he said. Now, talk about being conflicted and not having a lot of resource. Here I am being a manager of a Suncoast, and, I didn't know what to do. I had a boyfriend. The relationship wasn't the best. I was doing my youthful, naive way of charming my current boyfriend, but again, it was like the starter pack boyfriend, where you went through this boyfriend for 2.5 years to learn what it is to be a boyfriend, and you learn how to sort of fall in love or sort of try to understand what love is, and you really don't know, and it just expired like milk. It just had a shelf life, and we were not meant to be. I turned 21. I wanted to go out to the bars. I wanted to go out to the clubs and explore my gay life. Oh, he was too old. He had already done all that. Oh, I don't want to go to the bars and smell like smoke and the music and da. I didn't want to be anywhere around that. So here I am, just sort of at a lost. It's not a full dead end, but I'm definitely kind of just stuck. Not sure what I want to do with the rest of my life. Not sure what job I want. Suncoast is okay. The money's fine. The hours are fine. What do I got to lose, right? What do I got to lose? And when I tell when I figured out what this place was and I got more details verbally, again, there was no brochure. There was no, let me look it up on the internet and find out and get a live chat with an agent to talk about how to enroll. It was like, what is this place? Are you serious? This is an actual thing? Are you sure? I'd never heard of it. Again, school only existed in my brain as high school and college. That was it. And, grade school. But I didn't hear of trade schools. I mean, there was a trade school in Milwaukee, but it just seemed like another college. I think it was called MATC, and it was a technical college. But it had the word college in it, so it just seemed like another college. I didn't get it. I didn't understand the concept, turning 21. So there I am, turning 21. I want to live my life. I'm a young adult. I'm in my early 20s. I want to party and live my life. Had to break up with a boyfriend. Tough. But then, here's how it all starts to turn. I decide, and this is how the wheels of determination are formed and built within Halston Body, within yours truly. How did I become even more determined than I'd ever been determined in my entire life to do something? Oh, I've had goals before. I mean, we talked about that. As a paperboy, I wanted to win the CD player. So I made a goal and I put my effort into it and I did the hard work to get the things that I wanted to earn. Oh, I wanted the jobs that I wanted to get. I wanted to get that radio doctor's job. So I sacrificed 2 jobs to get the one, and the one didn't turn out that great. I mean, there were so many things up to that point that I was like, I want it. And I went and got it. I mean, yeah, I struggled, and yeah, I wasn't the best, but I got onto the top of the ladder and touched the ring, or at least put my hand around it. It was great. So I'm lost. I'm sort of on my back like a turtle waiting to be flipped over. College is not singing the song that I like to hear. I'm failing out of it slowly and surely with 1 class a week that I barely want to be at because it doesn't matter to me. And an opportunity to go to Detroit opens up. I decided that's what I wanted to do. When I heard about it, when I got enough info and I got enough intel from my friend in Detroit, it seemed like it needed to be done because what else did I have? And I wanted to be a DJ. If the minute I heard there was actual education to do that job, I didn't see anything else. The blinders were on, the focus, the tunnel vision of getting to that. It was on, game on. And I didn't realize until I was done with all of that, and we'll get to that later, I didn't realize how determined I was. I decided because I was such a decent employee for the Musicland group. I had earned my keep. I had shown them that I was a stellar employee through and through. In fact, the sweetest revenge I got on the mean girls working at Musicland next door to me in the combo store was my love of the job. The district manager had to show up every 3 months to do an inspection. He had a checklist. These are the things you need to do. These are the things. And they would check your store. And of course, if you knew that was coming, you would tidy up as quickly as possible to make it look cute and try not to get dinged too hard. When they went through my store, boy, I got like 97%. I had it almost all down. 3% was like things that I just didn't have control over. There were some racks that didn't exist in my store that they were looking for that we needed to order. It's not a my fault situation. But the combo store, they got like a 54%. It was trash. Disorganized, terrible. I didn't have to say much more after that. Oh, they didn't want to look me in the face because I was killing it, making the sales happen, pre-orders and selling VHS tapes, but hating my life because I really didn't have a direction. Is this where I was going to end up for the rest of my life? Managing a Suncoast? Is that really what I was? Oh, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. I was as good as my brother at that point. Not going to school or barely going to school, I guess, hanging out by a thread and just working. Nothing to really show for, just a job. So I decided to start saving money. I see there's a goal in front. There's a carrot at the end of the stick. How do I get to Detroit? How do I get to school? First things first, I had to buy a car. But before that, I had to get a driver's license. Oh yeah, no, I didn't get my driver's license till I was 21 years old. That's right. Why? Dial back to those previous episodes. I skipped second grade. Didn't graduate high school till I was 17. So by the time I was 16, all the driver's ed classes were taken by the people who were actually juniors or actually sophomores who were turning 16 at a sophomore level. I was turning 16 at a junior level. I never got my driver's ed classes, and I never took them privately. My parents didn't have a car, so I had to get a car. If I knew I was going to drive to Detroit, Michigan with whatever I could fit in the trunk and my clothes and my dreams to go live with this couple and somehow get to this school and figure out how to pay for a school that I had no idea what I was getting into. That was the dream. That was the goal. It changed. I didn't want to go back to Musicland because I felt like the prices were never going to recover. I felt like Best Buy was slowly eating us up, and they were. I was a good employee. I decided, okay, I'm going to save money, and I'm going to convince the Musicland group that I can transfer because I'm that damn good. I believed in myself that much as a retail employee of the Musicland group, both Suncoast and Musicland. And I had a track record to prove it, by the way. So it wasn't like, oh yeah, you're just some employee. No, they knew me. I was making money. I was doing it in a stellar fashion. Ooh, it's getting late. Anyway, point is, I used my clout. I used this is what I have to bring to the table to convince the Musicland group that I needed to transfer to somehow stay employed as I made my transition to Detroit. Come to Detroit, live the spoils of living with this couple that I barely knew. I knew Kevin, but I did not know the other guy. His name was Gary. The husband's name is Gary. Real talk, I know this sounds evil, but I don't even know if they're still alive. But there was the carrot at the end of the stick. This is the way out because I didn't see anything working for me at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I looked up the school as best as I could. I called them, asked them questions, got the real skinny, and decided to save my pennies, buy a car from a neighbor, of course, get my license before that, and figure out how they were going to transfer me to a Detroit area Musicland combo store. I did it. But before all of that even happened, I started to get sore throats and I started to even get what would be considered strep throat. I got strep throat twice within about 3 or 4 months before the actual time of me packing my bags, moving out of my parents' house at the ripe old age of 21 and moving to Detroit to pursue school. So that ties in because here's what happens. I get the okay to transfer to a combo store in the Detroit area. I can't even remember what store they put me in right off the bat, but I got there, and right when I got there, now mind you, I was full-time manager, trained manager, corporate manager material. The place they put me in, I believe, as like an assistant manager, but they kept me at the same pay because they were like, we can't demote you. That's not fair. So we'll just demote you in title, but you still get paid the same. Cool, cool. I get to Detroit. I pack my bags, pack my trunk, drive my Cutlass Sierra over to Detroit, Michigan, to the area of Oak Park. I believe it was somewhere in the area of 9 Mile and Southfield Road, I want to say. Somewhere in that area. It was closer to Woodward. Detroit people, I'll find it. I remember it was on Seneca Avenue. But I moved there, and the minute I get to Detroit, third bout of strep throat. And this wasn't just any strep throat. Oh no, this was a doozy. Oh, it hurt. It was bad. I could barely breathe through my throat. It was just so swollen. I had benefits, so up to that point, I didn't really need them. This was the first time I was exploring, oh, I actually have benefits? I can actually go to a doctor and have him figure out why I'm choking on my own vomit every time I cough because I'm like so in pain and I'm like, what is this throat thing happening with me? Doctor, I get to the doctor, ear, nose, and throat doctor. He just takes one look in the back of my throat with a flashlight. We got to yank those things. 21 years old, and my tonsils needed to be removed. What is happening in my life? I just landed in Detroit. I just am barely getting settled with this couple. By the way, we weren't a couple. I was sort of, I don't want to say the word dating. I was definitely stooping the younger one. The older one, never, nothing, ever, no. We were friends. We were roommates. He was my landlord, but there was no three-way thirple couple happening. It was just like, I was definitely a side piece. And I own that. I thought we'll get into that's not even the point. That's not the important part of the story. Let's dial it back. I was straight up just transferring over. And the minute I got there, I'm like, I'm sick. I can't work. That didn't look great to them, but realistically, they couldn't not let me take time off. Again, proven employee, did a great job, showed up on time, gave no sass, knocked it out of the park. Was a yes man for the company. Why would they deny me? They didn't. They definitely bit their cheek and bit their tongue and were like, oh, we got to deal with this guy. God, first he transfers, then he needs time off for all this sick. What is happening? He's just a retail guy. And of course, I'm in a territory that nobody knew who I was. So it's not like there was any level of favoritism or any sort of like, oh yeah, Bob, we trust him. Yeah, no, let him take some time off. I mean, I'm just like literally walking in the door. I'm like, hi, I'm here. Hi, I'm sick. I need time off. My throat's on fire. Not a good look. So I get the surgery. I take the allotted 2 weeks off, get back into Musicland. They put me to a different store this time because the store I was at, they just couldn't, it was just a weird, whatever. So they put me to this combo store, and I think it was in Southfield, Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. I said Southfield Road before, but I believe this was actually in Southfield, Michigan, where I was working at this Musicland in the mall. It was an eye-opening experience, but definitely the one that put the nail in the coffin, as they say, as far as why I would want to ever work for that company ever again. It was a great experience, but it didn't have that same allure that working with my cool friends that trusted me and we trusted each other. It didn't. I think it was a bad experience because I was romanticizing so hard about how well I worked with the employees that I used to work with at the Mayfair Mall store, and how well and synergetic we were, all communicating, all getting along, all making money for the store, all feeling great about it. That same vibe didn't exist at this same Musicland combo store. It just did not feel the same. Sure, I got along with people, but I was, again, the outsider invading their territory. And it was a weird time in music anyway. I mean, again, those CD prices going up was not a good look for the music industry. I do remember learning, there's a couple things that I definitely remember working at that combo store that happened. One was teaching the employees there what the word bubbler meant. I didn't realize that Milwaukee had a colloquialism for drinking fountain, and only Milwaukeeans knew what that was, because when I said it in Detroit, they looked at me like I was speaking French. I said, yeah, I'm going to go get a drink at the bubbler. You're what? A drink at the bubbler. Why do you, I guess I don't understand why you don't understand what a bubbler is. You mean the drinking fountain? Yeah, the drinking, what? You never heard of a bubbler? Yeah, there was a long discussion about what the bubbler is, and look it up, kids. It's in Wikipedia land. Look up what a bubbler is, and you'll understand Milwaukeeese. If you want to speak Milwaukeeese, start with, I'm going to go get a drink at the bubbler. The old school Milwaukeeans would go, you're from Milwaukee, aren't you? I also learned who Insane Clown Posse were. This is 1994, ladies and gentlemen. 1994, 26 years ago. And these kids would come in, and I say that with love, because again, I was only 21, but these kids would be coming in and going, y'all got that new ICP? Y'all got the Great Malenko? I was like, what? Real talk, in Milwaukee, we had never heard of ICP. Why? ICP was a Detroit thing. It was a Michigan thing. It was a Michigander thing. And it was underground. It was the first time I worked at a Musicland where we were selling tapes that weren't part of the Musicland group box. Like, they didn't send us ICP tapes from the corporate headquarters. Oh no. Those were literally behind the counter, and they were like, I don't want to call them bootlegs, but they were definitely not like corporate stickered, we love ICP. Like, these were the underground tapes. And then the Great Malenko came out. I was like, who is this ICP? I want to say that, like, Detroit people looked at me funny when I didn't know who ICP was. They knew I was not from Detroit when I didn't know. But yeah, it wasn't the same vibe. I mean, again, the music industry was kind of, grunge was starting to fade. It was 94. Yeah, I mean, we had Nirvana Unplugged and things. Yeah, but again, just not this. It wasn't the luster was fading of grunge and things. I mean, Woodstock 94 was a disaster with all the fires and the crazy, the riots that happened, and it was just insane. You know, I mean, but there it was, 94. I was living the dream, listening to Limp Bizkit and all the 90s things. You know, the 90s. It was a good time. The last straw that really soured my taste for working in music retail was a Karen. Remember we talked about this. Karens existed. Karens have existed as long as I've been alive. We just didn't have a name for them then. We called them bees. We had another. We called them the B word. Oh, we did not have the polite. Oh, she's being a Karen. Oh no. I remember this like it was yesterday. I opened the store pretty early because I think it was around the holiday time. It was like I had to get there at like 7 a.m. or something, or 8 a.m. It was really early. Whatever the case may be, I had to get up extra early to get to the store, to open it up, get the store running, stock things, whatever. Get it cute. Holiday season, rush, lots of needs. I want this, I want this. You know, got to get it before Christmas. The Black Friday rush, the whole thing was in full swing. And I remember getting a call from this woman, and she was asking if we had, I got to say it was either The Jungle Book or Little Mermaid on VHS. And I distinctly remember, because no one is in the store, going on the shelf and finding it and going, yeah, we have a copy. Now, the second part of this is a little hazy. I feel like I forgot to take it off the shelf and put it in the back so that it was saved for when she decided to come in and pick up her copy that she called about and put aside because little Bobby or little Susie wanted The Little Mermaid on VHS for Christmas, or Jungle Book. I can't remember. I want to say it was Little Mermaid, but I think by that time it had already sold out. It was one of those releases that was like soon to go away to the vault, and there was not going to be another copy allowed in the district. Like, it's one of those movies. It was a Disney movie. And the day progressed, and it went on. I think I was supposed to go home, pretty early because I was there really early, like, again, 6 a.m. and got out of there at like 1, something like that. And I remember her coming into the store, and we didn't have it. It didn't exist. What she had called for wasn't on the shelf. And then she even asked me, do you have it? And I was like, I remember being very befuddled, like, yeah, we have it. We had it. It should be here. What? Where did it go? What? And it became a confusion flashpoint that turned into, how dare you? You've ruined my child's Christmas. You're the worst person in time, space, and history. Don't give me attitude. And I was young and sassy, by the way. I was not sure of myself, but I did not like it when people poked me. When I did not intentionally ruin your Christmas or your child's Christmas, I did not intentionally sell the copy to somebody else. I did not intentionally decide to screw you over, lady. My bad. And boy, my throwback, and I can't remember, something set her off. I mean, obviously, she was right. I drove all this way. You said you had it. And like, the layers of, but the best part is I need to speak to a manager. Well, I am the manager. I am a manager. There is a manager ahead of me, but I'm one of the managers. Like, it just went overboard. And I instead of just apologizing and trying to make it good, I'm sure I dug in my heels a little bit because I was probably more mad at myself that how did I not put it aside? It blew up in my face. She went to like the regional manager. Oh. And I had to end up, no joke, writing an apology letter to her. Handwritten. Oh yeah. Not typed on a computer and just printed out in cold and flat letters. Handwritten. But because I was so angered and so just not feeling my place in the Musicland world, I wrote the most passive-aggressive letter. And the reason why I think I was really angry is because nobody in the store defended me. The manager didn't defend me. And I wasn't brazenly belligerent to this lady. I just goofed. I just messed up. And I didn't do anything over the top to please her immediately. I think I ended up calling other stores to see if they had it. Nobody had it. It was one of those ones. Again, it was going off the grid. Nobody could find it. So she was extra mad, especially when she was promised. And nobody in the store said, we'll fight another day. It's fine. Blew up. And so I wrote the most passive aggressive. I am dripping with sorry. I'm so sorry that I couldn't sleep the night of because I was so in just upset for your child and her welfare. I mean, I laid it on so thick. And they didn't like that, of course, so they made me write it again. And so, but they literally you need to write this over, not be so smart alecky. I was like, and that's, by that time, I was 1 foot out the door. I was like, this place, first of all, I can't defend $17 CDs. I can't keep selling, Frank Sinatra's duets too. I'm exhausted. This is not where I want to be. And I felt like I was just repeating history. I wanted to go to school to be a DJ, but it wasn't going to work because I was here at retail Musicland and hating myself and not getting the hours I wanted. And, even though I was a new person and a manager, I didn't get the seniority and the respect. But again, I was 21. a baby comparatively. I just, it just all faded. It was not a happy time. And, 94, it just was like, wow, this dream is dying. I mean, music stores still existed. Don't get me wrong. They still were there. And we went to them. But, again, the shine was completely off. The flavor was gone from the bubble gum that I was chewing. And it just didn't become fun. It was too corporate. It was too stiff. Too many rules. Too many jerks. This lady just really just ruined it, my attitude and taste for it all together. And it was time for me to fly. And I left. I put in 2 weeks, and it's funny because I had some money saved up, so I wasn't completely like, oh man, what am I going to do? How am I going to put gas in my car? I was turning 21. Guess who learned all about the magic of credit cards? This guy. Yeah. So the idea of leaving a job that I already been at for 4 years, which seemed like a lifetime at 21 years old. I was 21 and a half. Eyes on the prize. I had to get to that school. That school was all I want. Why did I move to Detroit? I had to convince my parents and anybody who might have had a half of a belief in me that this was the right thing to do. I needed to move. I needed to go to the school. I need this education. Well, do something about it, won't you? Stop working at Musicland. Stop. This corporate dream is not going to allow you to chase the dream that you really want, young man. So make it work. Figure it out some way. And I had to. That was the end of Musicland. It was done. If anybody knows the story, Musicland died a death. It died a very slow, but it had to die eventually because nobody was going to pay those prices for the CDs. We were paying too much money. It was too corporate, and we were too greedy. And nobody cared about mall CDs anymore. Nobody cared about paying $17 for a brand new release. Best Buy was knocking it out of the park with $9.99 CDs, and I liked going to Best Buy after a while. After I left Musicland, I didn't shop at Musicland to save my life. I think I visited back home, and I went to go see Betty and visited her, but it seemed like a high school reunion because it seemed like we were gone for a year from each other, and it seemed like a lifetime for me. Perspective. I was again 21 going on 22. Time took forever. And yeah, I was in that same position. I got to go to school. I got to figure out how much I got to make to go to school. But I'm a stranger in a strange land here in Detroit. I don't know where I'm going or what I'm going to do, but I got to hustle and make something happen. Otherwise, I'll be dead in the water, and I'll be putting my tail between my legs once again, going back home to figure it out. I was determined not to. 21 years old, I needed to get my life. And I did. Ha ha. Oh, that's not a spoiler. That's just what's going to happen. We're here to talk about it, if that gives you any sort of premonition about what I'm going to talk about on Monday. But yeah, we had to get out of this place if that was the last thing we were going to do. I was not going to get stuck just being a working stiff. Get to school. Get to that Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts. That's what got you here in the first place. That was it. Rest in peace, Musicland. You tried. They did this thing called Media Play. If anybody remembers that, that was again, another nail in the coffin. Why is this the company of bad decisions? They came up with this Media Play concept to try to, I guess, big box retail compete with Best Buy, but it didn't work. They never changed the prices, number one. They didn't get cheaper, and they decided instead of becoming an electronics superstore or trying to compete with that Best Buy dollar, they decided to compete with Borders and Walden Books and Barnes & Noble by becoming a giant combo music bookstore. Oh, and a video store. So it was like a 3-in-1. Suncoast Books and Music. Now, on paper, it sounds like an amusement park of media delights. I mean, it really does. But in concept, too little, too late. The music industry was starting to crumble slowly and surely. The prices and the record making machine was just getting to the point. It was on its way. It was on its way. And I saw it coming before it really happened. Lucky me, I guess. But it didn't keep me out of my love of music. It did not stop me from enjoying and loving music. And that was the important thing. I'm very grateful that Musicland did not destroy my passion for enjoying a good pop song, because I didn't want to hear that music anymore. I absolutely wax nostalgic of that era. I can talk about the early 90s and the music scene and what was happening and all the bands and all the weird bands and all the one-off bands and all the things they made fun of on Beavis and Butthead eventually, because it was just these one-off hits. They were in my blood. They were part of my life, and I will never forget them. I believe I talked about Betty and the best birthday gift ever. This is the album that we, in long box CD form, this brought us endless entertainment, making these poses of David Johansen. I bought this on vinyl recently because I felt like, you know what? I need this again. I need a little, look at that David Johansen kick. Come on. Those listening on the podcast, you'll just have to look on the, you have to look up David Johansen's In Style album and look on my Instagram, because I posted a picture of it. You know, the culture, the lessons, the music that I came out of, came out of that era loving, the exposure to music that I never thought in a million years that I'd ever hear or ever know about, because up to that point it was just pop music. And then of course everything blew up, hip hop, country, all the things that I got exposed to and love. I love to this day. I'm very grateful for that era, being part of the music industry, so to speak. Thank you all for listening to 2 long-winded episodes. I know these clocked in over an hour, but you know what? When you're passionate and you have a lot to talk about, a lot of stories to share, just sit back with that coffee and kick back. Just just lay in bed and just listen to my dulcet tones talking about the life of Musicland. Thank you again for listening. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe. Please comment. Please add a 5-star rating wherever you can. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell everyone. This is New Job Who Dis. I am your host, Halston Body. It has been a pleasure. Please visit me on YouTube. Find me on social media at Halston Body. Let's get into it. I will see you and listen. You will hear me and you will see me on Monday with another fascinating tale of how I got out of the corporate retail life of Musicland and ended up in places I dare not ever go again. Thank you so much for listening. This has been New Job Who Dis?